Hey guys, welcome to another Con Support video. This one is on equations with square roots, decimals, and fractions. All right, let's go. So it says here, find the solutions of the following equation. So in this case, you have a squared is equal to the square root of 64 over 225. Now the rule is when you're taking the square root of a fraction, you can actually take the square root of the numerator and square root of the denominator. So in this case, what we're going to realize is that a squared is going to be equal to, oh, my bad, sorry. I jumped to the answer, my bad. So it really says a squared is equal to 64 over 225, right? And then to solve it, you're going to take the square root of both sides, right? Okay, cool. And so that's why you get a is equal to, and then you can take the square root of the top and square root of the bottom. So this is going to be square root of 64 over the square root of 225. Now, hopefully you guys have memorized your perfect squares, but 64 is 8 times 8, and 225 is 15 times 15. Okay, so what this comes out to is basically 8 over 15. Now, because it's the square root of that, it could be positive or negative, right? So it could end up being positive or negative 8/15. All right, so let me just kind of write that in right here. It's never got it right in the extra spot there. So basically, you're going to get positive or negative 8/15. Now in this choices here, it says choose all that apply. So you have a, which is 8/15, that works. Negative 8/15 works as well. If you had the square root of 64 over 225, that would not work because that would be 8 over 225. And the square root of 64 over 225 wouldn't work because that would be 8 over 225. These aren't going to work. If you had the square root on top and bottom, it would work, but you don't have it here. So that's it. Those are the answers that work. All right, let's erase this and start again. Okay, the next one says a squared is equal to 6.4. You want to take the square root of both sides to undo the square. So you get the square root of 6.4 is equal to a. And so if you do the square root of 64, right, the square root of 64 would be 8, right? But obviously there's a decimal here, right? So it can't be the square root of 64, it can't be 8, right, because it's 8.4. Now, this one's a little bit of a funny one, right? So what I'm going to do on this one is you can't just like think about the number of places to move the decimal because it only moved at one place, it seems, right? So this one's one of those ones where I'm going to look at it a little more carefully. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take that 6.4 and rewrite it as a fraction. So I'm going to say, all right, square root of 6.4 is the same as the square root of 6 and 4/10, which is the same as the square root of 64/10, which is the same as the square root of 64 all over the square root of 10, right? So that's its real value, right? And the square root of 64 is 8, and the square root of 10 is 10. So this is going to be 8 over the square root of 10. Now, 8 over the square root of 10, what's that really worth? Well, 8 over the square root of 10 is when we probably want to just get the calculator out and do this, right? So you have 8 divided by square root of 10. So let's do this and see if I can make it easy. So I know the easy way to do this. Let's rationalize it. So you can multiply top and bottom by the square root of 10, and you're going to get 8 square roots of 10 all over 10. Okay? So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to just multiply that on a calculator easier, right? So this is 8 times the square root of 10. So let's get the square root of 10. So 10 square root, get that value, and then times that by 8 so that we don't lose any value. And then we're going to divide that by 10. And you're going to get 2.52 or 2.53. So this is actually 2.53, which is funny because it doesn't look like it would be the right answer, does it? Not to me anyways. So maybe I did something wrong. But maybe not. Who knows? So this is what I have based off of this idea. Did I make a mistake in my thought process there? Not sure. The other way you can obviously check these answers is you can just see if any of them would work, right? I mean, obviously, 0.8 times 0.8, what would that be? That would be, I would say, 0.64, right? So 0.8 times 0.8, that's going to be 0.64. That's not going to work because you want 6.4. And this one's 3.2 times 2.2. 3.2 times 3.2, that's definitely not going to work. That's 10.24, which has nothing to do with 6.4. So all of their answers are wrong, right? Obviously. This is the correct answer. This is it, right? This is the correct answer. You guys don't really know how to find this correct answer that comfortably, but this is the correct answer. So it's about 2.53. It's basically 8 times the square root of 10 over 10. Or if you want to think about it, it is it's basically 8 divided by the square root of 10. Same thing. So all of these forms of it are going to be correct, except none of those are here. So that's it. All right, let me erase this and start again. All right, so in this case here, you've got x squared is equal to 100 over 361. So you want to take the square root of both sides. So you're going to get x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 100 over the square root of 361. Now the square root of 100 is going to be 10, and the square root of 361 is actually going to be 19, I believe. So I told you guys to memorize up to 25. That would be what that would be. So 19 times 19, if you guys can see, is 361, right? So this is just going to be plus or minus 10/19. So that is the answer you're looking for. So it says here, choose all the answers that apply. Well, 10/9 is not 10/19. 1/6 is not 10/19. 5/18 is not 10/19. But and 5/9 is not 10/19. None of these are 10/19. So I think it's one of those ones where it's a none of the above again. So yeah, they're trying to trick you. All right, this one. So on this one here, you're going to do p squared is equal to 0.81. So you're going to take the square root of both sides. Now on this one, it's pretty easy because we can see that there's 2 decimal places that they move to the left. So this one is one where you can just think about what would it be, right? So the square root of 81 is just 9, right? So the square root of 0.81, because you have the 2 decimal places that are moved to the left, you can actually make it 1 decimal place here. So you could say that 0.9 is going to be 0.81, right? Because when you do 0.9 times 0.9, guess what you're going to get? You're going to get 81, but then move it 2 to the left, right? So that is the answer. So it's just going to be a positive or negative 0.9 or 9/10, right? You could also think of this as, like I said, the 81 over 100. And we do the square root of that. That's the same as the square root of 81 all over the square root of 100, which is the same as 9 over 10, right? So 9/10. So it's going to be plus or minus 9/10, right? So when we're looking at our answer here, the square root of 81/100 is obviously the square root of 81/100 is going to work. Negative of that would also work because it's plus or minus. And then, of course, the 0.9 and all these work. So this is one where everything that they have would work. So that's how you do it. So hopefully that makes sense. And see you next time.